welcome to Telling the Tale, the podcast about every single Telltale Games video game. We are today going to tackle Wallace and Gromit's Grand Adventures Episode 3, Muzzled, with an exclamation point. That's part of the title, that's important to emphasize. Here with us today, as per usual, is the co-host of this wonderful podcast and a wonderful guy to boot, Dustin Jackson. Hello, Dustin.
Hello, Mitch. I'm here. My haunches are sturdy, and my bearing is bold.
The moment I heard that line in the episode, I knew, okay, Dustin's gonna bring some sturdy haunches into the recording booth, and I just have to be cool with it. I have to accept it.
I brought my sturdiest haunches. I just had to live up to Duncan McBiscuit.
I forget that's his full name. I don't think they said the whole name in this episode.
I really had to refresh myself on these characters. It's been a little while.
Yeah, speaking of, before we get into the episode, we should probably just do a little housekeeping and talk about why it's been a little while. So, first off, I had COVID.
Whoops.
Yeah, oops, didn't try. But, it's around, and the numbers right now are actually higher than the Delta variant spike. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's like back. It's really there.
Oh boy.
I had COVID back in January of 2020, before the pandemic. Because I had a roommate who brought it to me directly from China.
Wow.
When it was still sort of localized there. Yeah, so I was an early adopter, and then I got every single vaccine, and I wear masks, and I got COVID. In that order.
Good job.
A second time I got COVID. I didn't want to, again, but yeah, so when we were supposed to record this originally, I had been, I did something dumb, and I was talking on the phone with a friend all night, even though I knew I was sick. But
Whoops.
I was just excited to catch up with them, I guess. And, I got ready for, trying to play through Wallace and Gromit and get ready for a podcast. Terrible choice. I did not have a voice. I couldn't talk. My throat was so in pain.
Yikes. I'm sorry, Mitch.
Yeah. It turned out the next week after that, I was still recovering a little bit, but then you were sick.
I did not have COVID. I tested myself multiple times and they were all negative, but I did go to a concert with my dad. We saw Tenacious D, and I still, I don't know if it was from that or my nephew had a cold, and I was helping my mom babysit my niece and nephew, and he probably gave that cold to me because, boy, was he coughing and sneezing right onto me.
How do you know that it wasn't COVID?
We tested him.
Oh, nice. Okay. But not
yeah,
yourself.
Believe me. We tested, like, all of us.
Okay.
But that was before I was even sick, and then I tested myself again after I was sick. So yeah, I guess it was just a bad cold.
All right, fair enough. And just goes to show it's not done. It's still very much a pandemic, and stay safe to the best of your abilities. Also happened within the 2 weeks that we weren't recording a podcast. Actually 3 though, right? Because we missed 2 weekends of it. So 3 weeks that we weren't recording a podcast. The not E3 happened.
Ooh, we got plenty of exciting announcements, didn't we, Mitch?
No. So
That's right, we didn't.
Yeah, it was actually the opposite of what you just said, Dustin. We actually didn't get much. If you were a big fan of the big ones that were sort of poised to show up, and we knew they would show up, like Final Fantasy 16 and Starfield and Street Fighter 6, I suppose, then you are great. You did well, right?
Good job.
It seems like that was sort of it, though, and the industry is still either adjusting from COVID or just sort of in a natural lull. It is around the 5-year mark after 2017, and they always say, like, the late 90s, like 97, 98, and then 2007, and then 2017 were high points in just quality video games coming out and coming out fast. So now that we're 5 years into the 10-year cycle, maybe we should have expected it to be a bit of a nadir.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. It happens sometimes. I was disappointed we didn't see anything about the new Return to Monkey Island, though.
Yeah, so the weird part about it for me is that, weirdly, even though Telltale Games has been shut down for 4 years, Telltale Games is getting ready to release a lot of stuff. So The Wolf Among Us Part 2 could have been there, was not. The Expanse, the other Telltale game based on the sci-fi franchise, was not there. Would have loved to see that. Return to Monkey Island was not there. And Devolver Digital had a press conference. So I was fully expecting to see Monkey Island at Devolver.
Same. I watched through that whole thing, and there was not a hint of a monkey.
Yeah, and that feeling seems to have sort of resonated within a few different fan bases that were part of, obviously, the Nintendo crowd. As of recording, there has been no announcement of a Nintendo Direct, and it's maybe looking like there will not be one.
Yeah. I've always got hope, but, I don't expect one.
Yeah. There wasn't a big blowout on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, even though we knew it's coming later this year. There was no information on the sequel to Breath of the Wild, which we know is early next year. There were some rumors about a bunch of stuff coming out of Rare that we were excited for. Most notably, both a return to the Banjo-Kazooie IP in some form and a remake of GoldenEye 007 for modern consoles. Both of them did not show up. So
every year these Banjo-Kazooie rumors pop up, and at this point it's better to just not expect it, although I'll always have the hope every year.
Yeah, I will say a Banjo-Kazooie rumor needs to be taken with the saltiest grain of salt, because it seems... more and more, it seems impossible. I don't know. Just there's no reason it should be, but it seems that way. But I think the weirder part of that, like, that part's not weird. The weirder part of that is it was just like, oh, everything we heard about everything isn't happening.
Yeah.
Just everything in complete totality.
Yeah, I would have at least expected GoldenEye to 100% be there. I would have put money down on it. I had just recorded a podcast with our friend Hyle Russell for DK Vine like a couple nights before. I was telling him, oh yeah, GoldenEye, it'll be there, baby. And it was not.
Yeah, there's some scuttlebutt going around that the reason it did not show up was maybe not because it doesn't exist or even isn't ready, but is more a response to the fact that Russia is currently invading real-life country Ukraine, and a video game that sort of makes light of the Cold War era kill Russians for fun aesthetic is not a tasteful thing in the moment, which is understandable.
Yeah. Definitely. Isn't that exactly why they delayed the Advance Wars remakes as well?
It seems that way. Or did they put out a statement on that? That might be true.
I don't know if they ever confirmed it. I think I've just seen people saying that that's the reason.
Yeah. We've been at war with in Afghanistan for 22 years. I'm not really positive why, like, this one seems different. Russia has been invading smaller countries that are not in Europe for quite some time, and that has not really delayed a project. I'm not entirely sure why this is special. Not to say that it isn't. It's just all the other times are too, and it just seems like a weird thing to do. That said, I totally understand and am sympathetic to anyone who would be negatively affected right now by
Definitely
a 1990s era depiction of Cold War James Bond politics, which are to say some of the worst politics you could have. So yeah, makes sense. But also for our podcast, The Expanse wasn't there. So, big picture.
Yeah, we really got to think about the important stuff.
So, Dustin, Wallace and Gromit's Grand Adventures Episode 3, Muzzled, was released on June 15th. It's June now. June 15th, 2009. So, just over 13 years ago. It was written, directed, and designed by Sean Vanneman, who we know as one of the star forces behind The Walking Dead. And it's an episode about Monty Muzzle.
That's true. If you could say one thing about it, it really is that.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch, how did you feel about this episode? You told me that you have some thoughts.
I think this is the best one.
I agree.
Yeah, this, of the Wallace and Gromit episodes, this really is the best one. It's the whole of what you might want out of this series sort of encapsulated into a little thing. And I'm not saying it's one of the best episodes that we've ever seen. It's not mind-bending, it's not eye-opening. But it takes the formula of a point-and-click adventure game and just really condenses it into something that doesn't leave anything critical out and doesn't feel flat. It feels just like a very charming return to form, return to like the LucasArts early 90s form for Telltale. And I like that about it.
Yeah. I was very interested going into this recording how you would feel, because we've discussed how neither of us particularly feel like Gromit makes for the best point-and-click adventure game star, and here he is kind of at the forefront. You play as him way more than Wallace in this episode.
Yeah, there's like 5 chapters of this episode, and 4 of them you play as Gromit. It's a very Gromit-heavy episode, because this episode is ultimately about dog.
About dog, yeah, a single one, but also others.
Also others. Last episode, too, was about dog.
Yeah, but I was thinking about that when trying to think of my, little funny thing I say at the beginning of each episode, my little quips. I was going to do another dog joke, but then I realized, did I do that last time or
there's
not?
No way to know. That footage is lost to time. But
yeah, I decided to go with the haunches.
So here, I'm going to try to do a little bit of that stuff we did for Walking Dead, of trying to summarize an episode very quickly.
Oh yeah, you did that last time.
I did that last time even.
Pretty well, too, and I have confidence that you can do it again.
Okay, wish me luck.
We'll see.
Wish me it.
You're welcome. Oh, I mean,
no.
luck.
Thank you. Damn. All right, and now, okay, so Wallace is trying to invent an ice cream machine that can make ice cream any flavor. You just put in a thing and it scans the flavor of that thing and then just makes that into ice cream. The coolest invention he's ever tried so far in the game. Then, who comes knocking at the door? It's Monty Muzzle, a charlatan who we can tell is not for real pretty fast, who says he's raising funds to create a new dog shelter because there's these stray dogs that have been let loose over town. So he swoops in, tries to do a fair to raise funds. And then you find out that the dogs, he has forced them into labor running the fair rides and stuff. So Gromit's like, we gotta fix that. So eventually you expose Monty Muzzle to the town to be the charlatan that he is, and then you chase after him in his hot air balloon by applying jets to your ice cream machine, and you, I think, just knock him straight out of the sky. That's 1 minute.
Wow, good job.
There's a lot of smaller things that also happen.
Isn't there always? There's always smaller things we gotta deal with.
Yeah. But that's the high level of the episode, and I think that how well you can sort of characterize Monty Muzzle in like an elevator pitch worth of time is what makes him a very strong villain for, for like a one episode of a thing.
Yeah, and especially for a series like Wallace and Gromit, where the stakes are normally not that high, this is kind of like the first real big threat we've seen in this series so far. And I like him.
Yeah, I like not liking him. He's a really fun villain. Like, if he appeared in Sam and Max, I think he would be boring.
Yeah, but in something like Wallace and Gromit, he brings just the right level of dastardliness.
Yeah, because his whole plan is, I'm going to make it look like I'm raising funds to build something. Then, I don't build it and keep the money.
And leave.
And that's it. and
Someone stop that madman.
And the abuse that he was doing to dogs was just like, oh, there are dogs? I'll figure something out for them, I guess.
Yeah, he didn't set out to kidnap these dogs. Wallace is like, here, you have these dogs.
So there's a like a, not a roller coaster ride. What would you call this ride? Like a Dumbo in Disneyland is sort of like this.
Yeah, it's like the spinning Dumbo rides. It's like a little carrier that spins you around very slowly.
Yeah, it just goes in a circle, and the citizens of whatever town this is, I don't think they've named it, cannot get over how cool this ride is. It's called the Muzzler. It's like you go around in a little plane around Monty Muzzle's giant head, like an inflatable of his head. And Major Crumb is like, this brings me back to my Air Force days. The policeman is on it for like an hour. He's astounded by it.
He never wants to leave. He's really getting a kick out of it.
And the way that these townspeople like this ride so much, I think speaks volumes to Telltale's ability to create characters. Because I don't think any of these characters were from Curse of the Were-Rabbit or anything, right?
I don't think any of the characters in these, aside from Wallace and Gromit themselves, are from anything. I think they are created for the games.
I could believe Felicity might have appeared in Were-Rabbit or something.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, maybe we should watch Were-Rabbit.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I kind of want to. I remember it being good, but not as good as Chicken Run. So
we had this exact conversation.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have some repeat conversations about Wallace and Gromit. Like we said before, the source material is thin. There's not that much stuff. You can watch all of the shorts and the whole movie in the time that it takes to play one of these episodes.
Yeah, basically.
But yeah, I think it speaks to Telltale's ability to make the townspeople feel so Wallace and Gromity. They're like astounded and joyous at the ability to just like, oh, it's a proper ride? It's like a ride? Wow.
Yeah, in terms of Wallace and Gromit, this is a thrill ride, basically.
It is, and then also it isn't, because like constantly Wallace is just building giant machines that do way gnarlier things, and they're supposed to make like cheese or something, and then they end up catapulting someone through space.
Yeah, I actually really like how their ice cream machine, their ice cream truck, turns into like a flying jet at the end.
In addition to having COVID and watching the E3 shenanigans that were going on, I was also playing a lot of Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts for reasons that are not important. But one thing that struck me when they set up the ice cream machine to have the jets, they only had the jets just on the back half of it. And coming out of Nuts and Bolts, I was like, that's not going to fly. That won't work. It'll just spin and then it'll crash because it can't balance.
Sorry,
out.
Wallace. I can't let this one slide. I'm gonna have to call you out on this.
Yeah, CinemaSins number 51. That ice cream truck couldn't fly, even with very powerful jets. They're all located in the back.
What were they thinking?
It's that. I haven't watched CinemaSins in a while. Is that what they say? Do they say what were they thinking?
No, that's more of an angry video game nerd / any YouTube reviewer thing.
Yeah, good.
You know what? Something else I really liked about this episode. I feel like the dogs in this episode finally begin to look like Aardman creations.
Yeah. Okay, so the dogs in the last episode, Twinkly Poo and Poopalwoots, they don't look 100% right. They look more Sam and Maxie. They've got the right like texture and stuff. They look clay, but
the way the faces look. And we mentioned that about the bees in the first episode too. They just didn't really feel like they worked right. But the dogs in this episode, they feel like how dogs would look in Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah, because Gromit is a dog. So you've got one solid example, right? That I know that you know about. And then these other dogs don't look a whole lot like dogs. You know what they do look like specifically?
What?
Chevron used to
run... the cars?
Well, yeah, and then even sometimes those cars would have dogs, and they look exactly like this dog.
Oh, yeah. I would need to see it. It's been a long time, but I can believe that.
Yeah, I don't know if they... because they had commercials where like in the 90s that were 3D graphics that blew me away as a child.
Wow.
Just the commercials with like the Chevron cars and talking about how, hey, you like the taste of gasoline, you're going to love it with Techron. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I will. I'll drink it.
I will drink it.
I'll drink
all the
it all
gasoline
day.
You want.
Yeah, you had a great 3D commercial in the 90s. That's what it takes to get me to drink gasoline.
The gasoline industry was booming after those commercials.
Honestly, I don't doubt that it worked. But those cars had like dogs that looked very much like these dogs, and I'm wondering now if those commercials were at all related to Aardman Studios. Did they work on those commercials? That would be an interesting thing to look into.
I'm pretty sure they did.
They did?
I always...
Oh, you think? Okay. Hang on.
I guess I never looked into it, but yeah, anytime I saw them, I just assumed.
Yeah, this is where...
Yeah, looking them up.
Yeah.
Looking them up, yeah. Aardman Animations, Chevron.
Yeah, totally. Okay, now I'm going to look up Chevron Dog. Commercial. Chevron Dog commercial.
Wow.
Anything? Not a lot. I'm not seeing the old... Nah, not really. I'm not seeing the old commercials dog. I'm seeing like new dog from new commercials that are definitely not Aardman. And I don't like it. I don't like this dog.
Ew.
Yeah. Gross dog.
Get these dogs out of here.
Monty Muzzle is basically saying that the whole episode. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
What a good segue.
Yeah. Monty Muzzle also is a very like classic Aardman looking character. Very reminiscent of the farmer from Chicken Run, maybe. That sort of vibe. Not specifically looks like it, but in that style.
Right. You know what? A thought I had while playing this is, it's interesting to me that this series has so many recurring characters. Like even in something like Sam and Max, you had a bunch, but it's not like you had like six or so that show up in every episode. It was mainly like Sybil and Bosco, and then you would have maybe like Flint Paper show up, Jimmy Two Teeth might show up, the cops, etc. But this episode, Stinky. It's just this, yeah, Stinky, of course. But in Wallace and Gromit, it's like the same core cast in every episode, and then they just bring in like one or two new characters.
Yeah.
And I think it works okay. I would be more critical if it were something like Sam and Max, but for something like Wallace and Gromit, I think it works fine. Yeah,
so clearly it's easier, right? Because you don't need to make a new episode's worth of characters every episode. You can just keep all of the like 1.5 episodes worth of characters across 4 episodes, so you just make less. But Yeah, they're good, and they get a lot of development. Mr. Paneer is... I always love Mr. Paneer. Felicity Flit, Duncan McBiscuit. The
Gabberleys.
The Gabberleys are great. Constable Dibbins sucks, actually, a little bit, and I don't need him as much. Major Crumb.
I think he does suck, but in a way that I like. I love that he was he was so over the moon about this ride.
Yeah, and there's been aspects of the episodes that have very strongly informed the story of the next episode. Not anything serial like The Walking Dead or anything, but maybe a stronger feeling of that than Sam and Max episodes or seasons 1 and 2.
Yeah.
The dogs from episode 2 of this impact the dogs in episode 3 of this. Like the negative sentiment that you rightfully give Twinkie Wizard and the Ugly One in episode 2 sort of impact the town's feelings toward weird dogs in episode 3, and that is, I don't know if they ever explicitly say that, but you can read into that if you want. And that's cool.
Because this episode starts out with these dogs being loose. It sounds like everyone does want to help these dogs, but they also just don't want them running around.
Yeah, and when they say there's a stray dog infestation in the town, really what that means is there's 3 dogs in Wallace's house. And they all just want to mess with Wallace's stuff. They want to anything gold. There's a dog that likes gold things and will steal it. Anything there's one dog that's just like way too timid and scared and shy, and Gromit gives it a little stuffed bunny, and that's a wonderful moment. And there's another dog that is extremely good at digging and can be underground and smell a cookie from above ground, and like will tunnel in on it. And
these dogs have special powers.
These dogs, yeah, one of them is anxiety.
That's
and
his
the other
power.
is kleptomancy.
Kleptomancy.
Yeah, and so once you figure out these dogs' problems, they're fine, and that's what I really like about this episode. Like at the first tutorial, like intro chapter, it's just, hey, there's 3 dogs in my house. Gromit, can you help me out? I'm working on the ice cream machine. And Gromit's approach to dealing with these dogs is so careful and loving. And, like, he gives his own toy to the scared dog. And you kind of get this sense of, like, I really don't want to give this away. But, yeah, you need it more than me.
Yeah. Wallace even says that was Gromit's toy from when he was a pup.
Yeah, and then you're given this this evil guy who should be doing what Gromit just did, but he's like, nah, my method is way shittier. So, even if he was legit, he, like, the things he's proposing are still harder to do and less beneficial for the dogs than what Gromit just did by showing kindness instead of, like, frustration. And in that way, Monty Muzzle really is Gromit's foil.
Wow, I did not put that much thought into it, but I'm glad you brought that conversation to the table.
Yeah, no, that one's probably fake. Yeah, that one's probably not real.
Here's what I'll bring to the table for this conversation. So in this beginning puzzle, you can kind of look around Wallace's house. A lot of the rooms are closed off, which is fine because you're not going to need them for anything in this episode anyway. But in the living room, you see the cow from Sam and Max.
Yeah, it's acting as a cow in this because of the ice cream necessity of having dairy.
It's really good at being a cow. Wallace really was hiding a cow.
Mm-hmm. Probably. I remember at the time of playing this, I was sort of annoyed by that because I want to explore a house. If you give me a house in a point-and-click adventure game, I'm gonna try to look at all the nooks and crannies. I want a big house to sink my teeth into. But now playing this, I go, oh, the living room is cows, and I can't go in. Oh, and the dining room is ice, and I can't go in. Oh, and the stairs have a bunch of sugar packages on them, and I can't go up the stairs. Nice. Because I don't want to explore
I don't want to waste time exploring all these different rooms.
Yeah, I wanted to get to the meat at the center of this ice cream cone.
Yeah, and we get a brand new location, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, the fairgrounds are fun. There's a lot of cool puzzles on the fairgrounds. One of my favorite ones is that you have to guess the number of gumballs in this giant jar. And if you go back into town and you look in the garbage, you find a bag of gumballs that is empty except for 9 remaining in the bag, and it says gumballs 300 count. So you can just reverse engineer. Okay, so this was the bag that he poured into the jar. There were 300, and now there's 9 left in the bag in the trash. So there are 291 gumballs in the jar. And you're right. That's great.
It's such a simple puzzle, but it's effective. It works.
Yeah, it's so environmental. It's so undirected, but it's still like just very simple arithmetic. It's great. I love that.
Agreed.
Yeah, I wonder if there was special dialogue or something if you guessed 300 based on the 300 count bag, but I didn't try that.
I didn't either. Another puzzle I really liked here is so for the pie baking competition, this guy hates all these pies.
Yeah, Monty Muzzle is judging the pie baking competition, and he's just like, oh, this town of yokels does not know how to bake a pie.
They wouldn't know a good pie if they ate one. But you kind of figure out how to appeal more to his taste by looking at the slides of his life conveniently to the right of him.
Yeah, that's so fun. I love that.
Yeah, I love all the artwork for it. It's great. Even though only one specific part of it has anything to do with the puzzles. Mm-hmm. Like, you only need to know that he, as a lad, he loved fish and chips. But you still get to see, like, all this extra stuff. It's cool.
It made me wonder when Wallace and Gromit is supposed to be.
Yeah, I was thinking that, too, because these feel like a long time ago.
Yeah, these, like, slideshows from his childhood, they're in black and white and have film grain that would indicate, like, the 1920s or 10s or something.
Yeah, really, but it is possible. It is possible he just did them that way for effect, too.
Yeah, but I would also very easily believe Wallace and Gromit somehow take place in, like, the 50s in England.
Yeah. I could see that.
Just pre-Beatles. They haven't had anything interesting happen yet.
I'm trying to think of if there's anything that would stomp that theory out. Nothing really comes. The closest thing that comes to mind are like the magazines at the shop stand.
They
but
had magazines
even
in
those,
the 50s, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know if like like we saw the fashion magazine. I don't know how magazines were back then.
I think
it's totally
the phone
possible.
In his kitchen has a tape recorder with a cassette tape, and cassettes aren't that old, so maybe that's the ticket. I guess it probably has to be modern-ish, or maybe 1990s, because the original shorts were from the 90s, and obviously if they were modern they would be from the 1990s, and these episodes of the game don't look like they're from a different time period than the shorts, so then maybe it's just still 90s.
Now that I think about it, I think if you go upstairs into Wallace's room, he has a PS5, so
yeah, if you squeeze past the sugar, you see that Wallace has actually been scalping PS5s. He's just got a giant tower of them.
We're gonna make millions, Gromit.
Yeah, but he only accepts cryptocurrency if you try to buy his PS5s.
Yeah, it turns out Wallace really sucks.
Um, what are some of your takes about what the townspeople are all up to this episode?
I like it. They're all just kind of enjoying the fair today. They're all. I really like helping Duncan McBiscuit figure out his little poem.
Sort of backfired by the end of the episode, huh?
Yeah, it didn't really work out for him, but
yeah,
I feel like he brings it. Like he always has funny dialogue.
Yeah, I think part of it is just his extremely outrageous accent, but
yeah.
He's also written quite well. This is the end of his, I guess, 2-episode arc of trying to court Felicity Flitt.
He tried.
He really put some effort into it. He wrote her a poem in this episode, and you have a puzzle of helping him find the last line of his poem, which was it was just like, your eyes are good and your butt is good and your dress is good. And the line that you have to come up with is, your hair could be mistaken for pirate's gold. And to me, that doesn't sound like super great. Like, your hair is so metallic. and hard.
Yeah, if I heard that, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, and she's not like blonde.
Yeah, I guess she just wanted someone to notice her hair.
Yeah.
So it didn't. He could have just stopped after he said your hair.
I could imagine that she's blonde with like gray interwoven in it, but
I could see that.
Yeah.
Even then, she kind of strikes me as more brunette, a little faded brunette.
Yeah, like a light brown. It's just not blonde.
Oh, I thought for some reason I thought you said she's not blonde, and then immediately followed up by saying she is blonde.
No, she's not. Wait, when did I say she's blonde? No, she's not blonde.
No, that you said she wasn't, but then just now when you were describing her hair, I misheard you and thought you said she was blonde.
I wouldn't do that to you, Dustin. I wouldn't gaslight you like that.
I thought I was going crazy, and I would have been very upset, but I'm glad that's not the case.
But at the end of this episode, Wallace is fixing up the ice cream machine after it falls from the sky, after rescuing that really sad, scared dog, Twitch, from Monty Muzzle. And he's, like, holding up a nut that's just from the car at some point. Like, somewhere in the car just had one nut. And he's holding it up, and then Miss Flitt misunderstands this very clearly hexagonal nut to be a wedding ring, and doesn't say no.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, Wallace." That's my
more of that. That's more of that. One more.
Oh. Well.
All right. Man, this podcast fucking rocks.
It's pretty good. I feel like, considering we've been out of commission for a few weeks, this is pretty about as good as it's gonna get.
Right? She explicitly says that she needs the rest of the week to think about it.
That's not a good answer. I like how overjoyed she is at first. She's like, "Oh, Wallace," and then she's like, "Well, hold on, let me think about this for a week."
Yeah, well, because you aren't dating.
Yeah.
If someone I thought was just, like, pretty cool and nice, and then all of a sudden she was like, "Hey, marry me," I'd be like, I need at least 1 week to think about it.
I guess that's true. I guess that's understandable.
This is very out of nowhere, but you've given me no reason to say no. So, give me a week.
Yeah, it's a very... I think that's a very funny thing to say to someone who wasn't even proposing.
Yeah. All right. If I was Wallace, and because Wallace seems scared and upset about this, like he doesn't want to be even dating Miss Flitt. He's just not interested. So maybe he should just leave for a week.
Yeah,
and then come back and eat days.
He could just say something. She didn't even, like, say yes yet.
Yes, but hasn't what you've been saying this whole podcast that we've covered on Wallace and Gromit, whenever I bring up, hey, Wallace could just say something, and you're like, no, he's cute. He's like a buffoon, and like you need to solve the problem.
He's quirky.
He's quirky. Yeah, and then now you're saying, yeah, Wallace could just probably say something about this.
Well, I'm not saying he would. I'm saying he could, though.
No, this cheese-addled fool? No way.
You expect him to rise up to the occasion? Yeah, right.
Yeah, right, my dog. This guy hasn't done anything in his life.
He has done nothing to prove to me that he is competent.
So that's the stinger for next episode. Monty Muzzle, he's mad at Gromit because in the process of falling from the sky, Gromit spreads all his money around and sort of ruins it. Now he's without his fortune.
Oh, classic
G-Man. And so there's that aspect, and Duncan McBiscuit's not going to be happy about this arrangement.
Most definitely not.
No, because
I wonder if he's going to serve a big role next episode. I don't even know what next episode's about.
I don't really remember. I really don't remember.
It's interesting that it's going to be the last episode. I kind of would have figured this one could have made a good last episode since it's one with a villain and a conflict. So I'm interested in seeing where it goes from there.
Yeah. Again, I think it could be fairly described as a pretty mid Telltale Games episode from what we've played. But on like head over heels better than episodes 1 and 2. That's not the way you use the phrase head over heels, but it's better than episodes 1 and 2.
I'm head over heels for this episode.
You see, I'm not. I described it as mid, but it is better than the other episodes of this podcast by a margin. It's quite good.
Mitchell Wolf. Remember the pie eating contest?
Yeah, how you needed to make a potato pie and then fry it to approximate a French fry, which I think would not work. And then take a goldfish that you won from a chicken by playing tic-tac-toe and cheating, and then putting that goldfish, probably killing it, in the flavor engraver in the ice cream machine, and then getting fish-flavored ice cream to put on the fried potato pie. And then this asshole Monty Muzzle really enjoys it. I do remember that.
I love the fish ice cream.
Fish ice cream. Could it be good? Could it possibly be good?
I don't even like fish. So maybe not. I really like that puzzle a lot. I thought, like you said, it probably wouldn't have worked just frying a potato pie, but the logic I could see. I was like, oh,
yeah, I did not need a walkthrough for it. So,
yeah, exactly.
Sure.
One thing I really liked in this episode,
yeah,
in the big climactic finale with the ice cream truck and the hot air balloon, the music was really good.
The music's great in a lot of places.
The music's consistently really good, but that is like probably my favorite one we've heard so far.
I wrote down that the song Inside the Muzzler is good when Gromit gets arrested and placed inside the Muzzler. That's a good song.
Yeah.
So how do you feel, before we jump into our segments, how do you feel about the fact that the end of this episode is once again a like a car chase where you're sort of like crawling around the top and sides of a car? Telltale loves this.
Yeah,
I love it.
They do this a lot, and I really felt that with this one. But I feel like it still worked. I felt like this was a good example of it. I liked, mixing the gumball in with the ice cream and firing it at the. And I liked that there was a follow up too. It wasn't just the chase with the car. It was also after the hot air balloon and the car explode. You had that whole part with them like falling through the sky. I thought that part was fun.
Yeah, so this happened, I think, multiple times in Back to the Future. It happened multiple times in this Wallace and Gromit. Did it happen? We talked about this before when we experienced it for the first time in Wallace and Gromit, but I don't remember our findings. Did it happen in this way in Sam & Max? There are a lot of car chases in Sam & Max, but like you don't do the same. Like the car's automatically driving and you're kind of like crawling around it.
Yeah, I can't think of any particular time it's like exactly like this.
I bet it happened though. I bet it happened at least once.
I mean, the closest I can think of is when you're chasing Abe Lincoln, but even then, you're not really doing this same sort of thing.
Yeah.
You just have to throw the, tracking beacon onto him.
Oh, yeah, that was really easy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was the Great Cow Race that had elements of it a little bit in Bone.
Oh, yeah, it's been so long. That feels like a lifetime ago.
It was over a year ago, I think.
Wow.
Or around a year ago, maybe. Maybe exactly a year ago.
Still haven't gotten around to actually reading it.
Yeah, and Telltale still hasn't made episode 3, so don't worry. It seems like you've got some time.
Hopefully I can beat him to the punch.
Yeah, Netflix went ahead and, as a courtesy to you not reading it, canceled the animated show.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what you wanted.
Yeah, I didn't want anything good.
I wrote down in my notes here, the poor dogs were trapped inside the machine? Alright, let's head into our segments.
Let's get these segments out of here.
Golden moment. I like the reveal of what's inside the muzzler, with the dogs in hard labor and prison.
Nice. We didn't really talk about that in the episode that much, but yeah, I felt like that really helped lend to the stakes to the episode. I mean, I guess it would, considering that's when you find out that shit is not right.
Mm-hmm. I think the art style really shines in this area too, because I really like the way the balloon looks from the inside. It looks cool. It's got that sort of like cloth on clay look, which is what they probably would do for if they were filming this in stop motion.
Yeah, I have it written down in my notes exactly that about really liking how the inside of the balloon looks.
Yeah. Wow. Aren't we a pair? Just liking the inside of how a balloon looks in a video game and writing it down to talk about it.
Hey, that's why we're doing this podcast together.
I also wrote down that Miss Flit is a real flip. I don't remember what that is in response to, and I only played it this morning, so.
Was it because first she's in love with Monty, and then she likes Duncan?
Nope.
And then doesn't like Duncan?
No, because this is I wrote this down earlier than like halfway through the game.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Then I don't know why you would do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just got a bad vibe. But yeah,
she just has a bad energy about her, man. Just a bad vibe.
My golden moment is Gromit's escapades inside the muzzler.
Escapades. That's a good way to put it. I really liked the pie puzzle. I'm going with the pie puzzle. I already said my feelings about the pie puzzle, but I don't know. It just felt like a nice multi-step puzzle. It felt like the logic to it all made sense in a creative way. Once I figured it out, I was like, oh. That was my puzzle reaction. Multiple ohs.
Potent pickup, Dustin.
This is a hard one for potent pickups. I said that the last episode too. Nothing really stood out to me, but I'm going to say the fortunes.
Yeah, I also said the fortunes, and I'm surprised we're aligned on this because I barely feel this way.
Yeah, same. Well, like I said, just none of the pickups really. Yeah. It's not like the pickups are bad. It's just there's pickups that serve their purpose for the puzzle, and then that's it, really.
I almost said the stuffed rabbit.
That would have been a good one.
Okay, I said it. It's the stuffed rabbit.
Awesome. Good job. Good pick.
That was close. Yeah, just the emotion behind giving Twitch this stuffed rabbit and seeing him sort of only calm down a little bit, but calm down a little bit and snuggle with a rabbit. That's pretty good stuff, Telltale. Telltale, that's why you're the best in the biz.
Yeah, maybe if you did more of that, you'd still be around. Oh.
Hey, do you think anyone's gonna buy new Telltale? Everyone's buying studios.
Oh, maybe. Wouldn't that be weird?
Yeah.
That seems like a weird one to me. Like, I could totally see
yes,
it.
it would. But they could, and they have some IP.
Yeah, they do. That I wonder if they would own those as well. I'm so confused on how some of that stuff works, because I would assume Disney would own Tales of Monkey Island.
Well, they own the franchise, and when Telltale originally fell, I believe that Disney reabsorbed the rights to that game, but I think it's very similar to the way that Nintendo does not own Bayonetta at all, but has exclusivity rights on Bayonetta 2 and probably 3 in the future as well, as if they are Nintendo games.
I guess it makes sense because Devolver Digital is publishing the new one, so Telltale republishing the old one makes sense.
Yeah. Hey, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, look, we worked it out.
So you think Disney's gonna buy them? Is that what you said?
No.
I wasn't listening.
No, I just thought it was interesting how these situations work out. Because I don't know if then it would be like let's say Microsoft steps in and buys Telltale. Would
the obvious choice? Yeah.
Would that mean they would own Tales of Monkey Island, or would Disney still have to
Well, they would own the game Tales of Monkey Island, but Disney would still have some sort of protection on the IP, which is what currently they did. I think New Telltale had to make a deal with Disney in order to promote and sell Tales of Monkey Island. All right.
They
are currently selling it.
Yeah. I don't know if they still are, but I think recently it was on sale on GOG for $3.
Whoa! The whole thing?
Yeah.
All 5?
The whole thing.
Wow. What a day I'm finding things out during. Weekly Guy, definitely Monty Muzzle.
Definitely. How could it be anyone else?
When Monty Muzzle was talking about ice cream, when Wallace said, "Hey, by the way, I have this ice cream machine. I could bring it to your fair," and Monty Muzzle's his gross Tim Curry-esque ice cream, you say?
Ice and cream.
Is that frozen cow part?
Frozen cow part.
Yeah, he's gross and weird and great, and his accent is strange even among
great design.
All these other sort of fun accents.
Yeah,
he's wonderful. Monty Muzzle's a great villain.
Yeah, I will say that Duncan McBiscuit also does a good job this episode.
Duncan McBiscuit does a good job. I think it's a strong Gromit episode in general.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about how Gromit is not a strong player character in a point-and-click adventure game because you want to be commenting on all the things you're seeing. You can't have a look button with a character that doesn't talk.
Yeah, but I feel like that never really comes up in this episode. There weren't a whole lot of times where, I was clicking on things with Gromit and he just, shakes his head no.
Yeah, it's kind of a Band-Aid on the situation because you want that to be built in so it's never going to be a problem, but all the townspeople are talking to Gromit constantly whenever Gromit does anything, and you're funneled out of the house really quickly, so most of the interactions that you have are out in the town where there's going to be another person who can talk during that interaction.
Yeah, I definitely agree it is kind of a Band-Aid, but I think if you have to have a character who just doesn't talk, and you have to play as him, that is a great way to work around it.
Yeah, I bet it was a real design challenge for Sean Vanneman and the rest when they were making these episodes. And it worked better sometimes than others, and I think this is one of the better times.
Yeah, well, even last episode, I thought they did a pretty good job of working around it, but especially in this episode when he kind of takes center stage, great job working with him.
Yeah, I guess you can either have the house be fully explorable and have all the townspeople in the house, or the townspeople are where they normally are, but you are funneled out of the house really quickly.
I'm kind of wondering if this season only got 4 episodes because they kind of hit their limit at all they can do with this genre and these characters.
Yeah.
Like, that's putting words in their mouths, obviously. I don't know if that's the reason why there's only 4 episodes, but that kind of... At this point, it kind of feels like it. Because they're finding some good solutions for it in these episodes, but I wonder if you can only keep that up for so long.
Yeah, I kind of bet that, when you're making a video game, so much content that isn't necessarily planned to definitely be in the game, but is planned content, ends up on the cutting room floor. It's just a natural part of the process, and it's expected. And if you don't do it, you probably made a weird, weighty, bad game because you are not only keeping the good stuff. So
yeah, exactly.
It's possible that they intended to make 5 like everything else with this season, and then just didn't. I don't know. Who's to say? It could be that they had exactly ideas for 4 things, or that there were going to be more and they cut it down, or that they ran into the problem of like, hey, we just can't get Gromit to be very interesting because he's not talking. I don't know.
Gromit wanted more money.
Yeah, Wallace kept being just a weird asshole about the whole thing.
He kept kicking like everyone in the Telltale offices.
Wallace kept kicking, and that was the biggest problem that I personally had with his personality and attitude during the filming process. But let me tell you, there were other problems.
Just because that was near the top of the list doesn't mean that's the whole list.
Yeah, I mean, it's the worst one, and it's pretty bad, so it doesn't necessarily say anything about the other things. But trust me, there were other things. He's just kicking people.
He would make you, like, smell his fingers, and then he would have this weird, devious grin.
Yeah, and he'd always say cheese, but, like, was that really the smell of cheese? I don't know. I don't know. I try not to think about it. He kicked me, also.
This is a weird bit.
Yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. So let's end the episode.
Okay, that sounds good.
Dustin, where can people find you? We don't tend to do that every episode anymore, but it's been a little bit, so let's talk about it.
Yeah, people can find me on both Twitter and Instagram at Amazing DJ Dustin. I just post my little musings, my little drawings and thoughts on there. Mitchell Wolf, where can they find you?
You do post your little musings and thoughts and drawings. I like
they are
that
pretty small.
Description. They can find me on Twitter at TheWolfFM. I haven't been super active these days because the world is imploding. And I just, I'm clearly not the person to talk about it, so...
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, it's not great. We are not the people to talk about it, but we hope that everyone who needs reproductive health care has it and can get it, and that, I mean, we're saying it as in we hope, but we know it won't be true.
Yeah.
We're powerless. We're a podcast about point-and-click adventure games. But trust us that anyone who thought what happened in that world over the last couple days is not a real fan of the show. And we ask you to stop listening because we don't have anything to say to you.
Yes, please.
So, what's next? Episode 4?
Yeah, I guess we'll do Wallace and Gromit episode 4.
Yeah, we'll probably do that.
We'll see.
All right. What a cool podcast we have. Just good show. Good show.
Yeah, get out of here, everybody.
Right. And until next time, we'll see ya.
Bye!